So, in the 20th century, the internet has completely revolutionized the way that we consume content. Platforms like YouTube have played a massive role in this transformation, allowing everyday people to produce, share, and watch videos from anywhere in the world. But beneath the surface of this digital revolution is an old friend of the modern media industry: the broadcast service. Today, broadcast services have found a new home online, becoming an integral part of YouTube's evolution. But while they bring numerous advantages to platforms and to some creators, they also introduce significant challenges for smaller creators trying to carve out their space in this vast digital ecosystem. So how did we get there? Why are broadcast services so important to YouTube? And what can be done to level the playing field for those who feel left behind? I'm journalist Matt Pierce. Let's dive into it. So to understand the role of broadcast services in YouTube's ecosystem, we need to take a quick trip back in time. Before the internet, traditional broadcast services, they were the backbone of mass media. Television and radio were the primary ways that content reached the public. And with huge infrastructure like satellites, transmitters, cable networks, all that good stuff, required to beam content into millions of homes, the audience had limited control over what they consumed and when they consumed it. TV schedules dictated viewing habits, and content was produced by a relatively small group of studios and networks. Then in the mid-2000s, YouTube emerged. At first, it was a chaotic Wild West of user-generated content. Anyone could upload a video and potentially become famous overnight. It was a democratized system where creativity, not corporate backing, drove the success. But as YouTube grew, so did the demands for more polished, professional content. Major media companies saw YouTube's reach and potential, and the platform itself was seen as an opportunity to diversify the broadcast services offerings and attract an even larger audience. This led to the rise of broadcast services on YouTube. Streaming platforms that could deliver high-quality, network-level programming directly to your screen. Think of live sports, news, and even entire TV channels transitioning to YouTube for more exposure. YouTube's decision to embrace broadcast surgeries wasn't just a nod to its media roots, it was a strategic move. By partnering with large conglomerates, networks, and broadcasters, YouTube could appeal to a wider, more mainstream audience, and why wouldn't it, right? Traditional broadcast services had decades of experience producing content that people wanted to watch. By integrating their experience and their expertise, YouTube could compete with Netflix, Hulu, and even traditional cable TV, transforming itself from a purely user-generated video platform to a hybrid of amateur and professional content. Services like YouTube TV were the result of this evolution. They combined the strengths of traditional broadcasting, like live events and exclusive content, with the convenience of YouTube's on-demand structure. So major networks now had access to the new digital frontier, while YouTube offered viewers a one-stop shop for content, from homegrown creators to top-tier Hollywood producers. So for larger creators and media companies, this was a golden opportunity. The integration of broadcast services allowed them to reach new audience, leverage YouTube's algorithm, and monetize their content more effectively than ever before. But while this was great for established players, it wasn't great for smaller, independent creators. Here's where things get complicated. While broadcast services on YouTube brought them legitimacy and a new level of content quality, they also tilted the playing field dramatically in favor of big budget professional creators. Imagine you're an independent creator on YouTube. You spent several years building your channel from scratch, investing in better equipment, learning how to edit, and growing your audience one video at a time. Then suddenly, you're not just competing with other YouTubers, you're up against ESPN, NBC, and other major music labels, maybe. These companies have the kind of resources that most independents can't even dream of. High production values, marketing teams, and deep pockets allow them to dominate search results and recommendation algorithms. As YouTube increasingly pushes premium content from broadcasters, small creators are finding it harder to get noticed. The algorithms, which used to surface quirky user-generated content, now favor longer, more polished videos from well-established channels, meaning that the average user is more likely to stumble across a TV show or a sporting event rather than an indie vlogger or an educational creator. This leads to the discoverability problem. While YouTube still rewards unique, engaging content that small creators are putting out there, the small creators have to work even harder for a smaller piece of the pie. They're fighting for attention in a space that's increasingly commercialized, where even YouTube's algorithms seem to prefer the safe, professional content produced by broadcasters. So, what can be done to help small creators thrive in this broadcast-heavy environment? Fortunately, there's several steps YouTube policymakers and creators themselves can take to level the playing field. Now, YouTube's algorithm is notoriously vague, and it's clear that professional broadcast content does enjoy certain advantages. To this end, YouTube could make its recommendation system more transparent and give small creators more control over how their content is distributed. One idea is to introduce features that allow users to actively opt into seeing more content from independent creators in their feed. Now, broadcast services benefit from massive ad deals. They also benefit from sponsorships and better monetization options. YouTube could offer more favorable revenue sharing models for small creators, reducing the gap between them and major broadcasters. This would ensure that independent creators receive fair compensation for their content, and that's crucial for making YouTube's ecosystem more equitable for everyone. Now, YouTube has already made some efforts to support small creators through initiatives like the YouTube Creator Academy, but there is room for more. A more robust creator support system, maybe they could offer some training resources, and even financial backing for emerging channels. This could go a long way in helping independent voices compete against broadcast giants that YouTube was kind of created to go against. Lastly, governments could play a role in regulating the dominance of large media companies in the digital space. Similar to how traditional broadcasters were regulated to prevent monopolies, right? This could include enforcing limits on how much space platforms like YouTube can give broadcasters versus independent creators. Now, I want to remind you that for small creators, it's not all doom and gloom. While the presence of broadcast services makes things more competitive, there are still strategies that stand out in a very crowded marketplace. One of the biggest advantages that independent creators have is the ability to focus on niche content. Broadcasters, they tend to play it safe. They don't take a lot of risks. They appeal to the widest possible audience. But as an independent creator, you can be pretty specific, and you can be appealing to very passionate communities, whether it's a deep dive analysis on obscure topics or highly specialized tutorials. niche content can really thrive and build a really loyal audience. Now, traditional broadcasters, they often have an enormous production budget, but they often lack the personal connection that independents have with their audience. So you can focus on building a strong community, engage with your viewers, respond to comments, and really foster some loyalty. Over time, this can translate into a dedicated fan base that supports you through Patreon or merchandise or crowdfunding or whatever the case may be. Finally, creators should diversify their presence. Instead of relying solely on YouTube, independent creators can expand to platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and even traditional podcasting. This can help you reach a broader audience to ensure that your content isn't overly dependent on YouTube's big business supporting algorithm. Now, broadcast services have undeniably transformed YouTube. This helps the platform evolve into a global media powerhouse. For some, this evolution has brought new opportunities and unprecedented growth. But for many small independent creators, it's made an already difficult landscape even harder to navigate. So, however, through smarter platform policies, community support, and creative resilience, it is possible for YouTube creators and small creators to find success among the giants. The media landscape may be evolving, but the internet remains a place where new voices can sometimes rise above the noise. And if they're given the tools and the opportunities to do it, the market is endless. I'm journalist Matt Pierce. Thanks for joining me, and please support my small channel. I would love to have you as part of this community. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you a lot.